I'm Abby, and welcome to another episode of Tuesday Talks. I think it's a good time to talk about mental health, but not just mental health, college mental health. Mostly because we're well into the semester and we're hitting brain fry, wanting to cry, and ready to die. Anxiety has reached an all-time high, and more college students are so competitive and they're stressing themselves to the deep end. According to a research study by the National Alliance on Mental Health Illness, or for short, NAMI, 1 in 4 students have a diagnosable illness, and 40% do not see hope. 80% feel overwhelmed by their responsibilities, and 50% have become so anxious they struggle in school. And that's a lot of students. And I was thinking, it's funny, because before we embarked on our college journey, we were told that these will be the best times of our lives. But I also recall hearing the same thing about high school. And if those were the best years of our life, then life must really suck. So I was thinking that the only people who I've heard this from, that college is the best time of our life, have been adults in their 40s and 50s. I have yet to hear this from anybody in their 30s or 20s. So I did some research as to why that might be the case. And shocker, culture has changed. In the last 30 years, students have been growing up in the post-9/11 era. That means they've been exposed to a lot of trauma, both in the media and in their lives. Between school shootings and the rise of globalization and the economic uncertainties and of course economic recession of 2008, we were young when all of this hit, and anxiety really had an impact on us and our families. So not saying that every generation hasn't had their fair share of trauma, but it's different being in this 24/7 news cycle. And those of us who have grown up in the age of the internet, it really has created a different childhood. So of course a lot of us are anxious and there's a lot of stuff coming at us all at once, and it's really reflected in our mental health. A lot of parents and even schools promote this idea of a one-track life. So you go to high school, you get a good SAT score, you go to a good university with a big name and build your CV so you can get a cushy job that will hopefully pay back your student debt in the future. And if you're a real try-hard, you go to grad school. This is the track that we've been relentlessly preached since childhood, like literally since elementary school. And so everyone is different. So the stress of attempting to stay on one track has taken students to their breaking points. Psychiatrists have coined this as destructive perfectionism, where students now forgo a lot of their mental and physical health in order not to fail, and they become intolerant at not excelling at everything. And it's not only the school system pushing these kind of one-track lives, but students are even bombarded with these messages from their parents who push them into college, and a lot of students are not even mentally prepared to deal with a lot of their anxiety. A lot of mental health issues can even evolve in college. Students can begin with substance abuse, and some students even go through traumatic experiences throughout college and never seek mental help. I'm not saying that colleges have abandoned providing mental health, because a lot of colleges have really tried to perfect their programs. A lot of colleges have adapted into taking aim at creating more mental health programs for their students, and some have really put into effort into creating safe spaces for students on campus. The problem is there are still people who are putting students down with trauma and anxiety in the campus environment. People stigmatize the words safe spaces and trigger warnings, associating them with weakness, which is so problematic because, first of all, safe spaces, especially for people of color, are very necessary because although college communities promote progression, it isn't always present. Therefore, having safe spaces where people cannot feel targeted is paramount for a university. Also, in class on campus, students even experience hate speech like homophobia, sexism, racism, via regular aggression and microaggressions from their peers or, God forbid, their professors in a classroom setting, and students shouldn't have to worry about feeling offended or reminded of their trauma. Tragically, not everyone is on the same page, which affects those with trauma and those who are in the minority differently. So yeah, there's a lot of systemic issues that cannot be fixed overnight, and they appear a lot of times in our classroom and can trigger mental stresses and trauma. We need to destigmatize mental health, anxiety, and the notion of being triggered, and even just mentally stressed, because in current students, especially current college students, it's becoming more evident than it has before, especially since the most deadly thing of all is not mental illness, but the stigma around it, and it can lead to people to avoid getting help in time. So I encourage you to speak positively about mental health and use your campus's resources effectively. Also, take your time for your own mental health if academic stressors are suffocating you. And if you're somebody who wants to do more research or even help out with this cause, I urge you to look into NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Health Illnesses, where they even have articles regarding PTSD, suicide prevention in college, and loads more. And also go to the DePauw Counseling Services if you're a DePauw student and want more information. I hope you've taken something away from this because mental health is very important, and especially in college. So thank you for watching. Please send feedback below and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to D3TV's YouTube channel, and tune in next Tuesday. Bye!